Jim Bakker and I would like to welcome you to this personalized tour of the Maurice Sterne From Famous to Forgotten show that's currently on exhibit at Bakker Gallery through July 15th. And we have Jim Bakker, who is going to give us a little information, tell us about Maurice Sterne and why he was famous once and why he's now forgotten. Jim.
Well, I wish we knew why he's forgotten, or at least languishing in some of the best basements of the finest museums around the world. But Maurice Sterne had quite a reputation during the early part of the 20th century. He was born in 1878 in Latvia and came to America with his widowed mother when he was 11 years old. Wound up working at a map engraver's office and then attending classes at the National Academy. In 1904, he won the Mooney Traveling Scholarship and wound up in Paris. This is one of the few paintings that we actually have, the afternoon nap, that would have been done during this time period when he actually met Gertrude Stein's brother Leo, whom he would later spend some time when he went to Italy. And you can see here that he was, if not influenced, he was certainly seeing works by Matisse and others, seen on the reverse of this canvas.
Great. Then from Paris he went where?
He went traveling. He spent a lot of time traveling. He wound up in Italy and then to Greece, and then by 1911 he had gone over to India, where he did some wonderful drawings and paintings in Benares, and then spent 2 years, 1912 in Bali. And you see some of the pieces here, the Bali mask, the Bali dog, done in 1912, a fruit offering. And again, in the case over here, some of the artifacts, the actual mask that inspired his drawing of the mask. Again, by 1933, he was the first American artist to have the honor of being retrospected at the Museum of Modern Art. We actually have the original catalog from that exhibition, and we're fortunate to have one of the prime pictures that was exhibited in that show, the mill, which again was one of the masterpieces actually illustrated in the MoMA catalog. It traveled to Venice earlier, to the Biennale, and there's an exhibition from the San Francisco Exposition in 1915. So it was one of the pieces probably done near Croton Falls in New York State, where he took up residence also.
So tell me, there's obviously a Provincetown connection. I know
there
people would
is.
like to know. So what's the Provincetown connection?
In 1915, he was summoned here by Mabel Dodge, who was a very important philanthropist.
Summoned. He was summoned here.
Summoned.
Okay.
They had met at a party. And again, wound up marrying her that following year, and they stayed married until about 1923. During that time period, Maurice went out to Taos, and Mabel Dodge took a great interest there.
So this is a portrait of Mabel.
That is a portrait of Mabel Dodge.
Great. Okay, great.
And so anyhow, he winds up out in the Southwest, where she thought he might prosper painting, and he did a number of paintings of the Pueblo Indians and other Native American Indians, and this beautiful portrait of Mabel Dodge's son from her first marriage to Evans. This is a portrait of her son, John.
Okay, great. So now, are all of these, because I see we've got the Bali pictures, or other, and then this is clearly
another Provincetown
Provincetown
view. Kind of interesting that the use of encaustic within the canvas. Sterne and his second wife Vera actually bought a house here in 1945 and showed in the Provincetown Art Association for a number of years. So we have a couple of the paintings.
So we feel this was done not when he was first here with Mabel
Probably
Dodge, probably later.
Probably later.
Okay.
And again, the other Provincetown view that we have in the show, again, probably from that same time period. Many examples of this period turned up in a show by Wildenstein Galleries in New York, one of the preeminent galleries really in the world. In 1947, he had a one-person show there. Wildenstein showed people, Picasso, Cezanne. They had an office in Buenos Aires, and a family of dealers from the beginning, first promoted 18th century French painters. So the fact that right after the World War II that they were showing his art as a living painter is quite a testament to how important he was in that time period.
So again, you said he was the first American to have a solo exhibition at
the Museum of Modern Art. This was in the spring of 1933. In that November, the second exhibition of an American artist was Edward Hopper.
Okay. And so what I've read is that it's possible that because he wasn't necessarily championed by any specific galleries or he wasn't a part of any specific art school, is part of the reason why he sort of fell into obscurity, or do you have any thoughts on that?
Possible, like many of the artists' estates that we've dealt in, that 5 years after his death, Herschel and Adler, one of the major galleries in New York, in cooperation with Milch Galleries, had a big retrospective in both of the gallery spaces in New York. The paintings certainly are displayed on occasion, but we're certainly hoping that there'll be future interest in it. A lot of times when people haven't seen work for a long time, they kind of figure that, who is this person? And then you look and you see the list of museums, London, Italy. He did spend a number of time in Italy later in the 20s. This was done on one of his first trips when he did favor into sculpture. It's a bust of Maurice Sterne. One of these is in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Worcester Art Museum. You can see from an article, The Bomb Thrower. Popular, wonderful head here is shown in the French Review in 1927. So during his lifetime, he was much revered. He had a major show of his Bali drawings and works that he had done over there at the Chicago Art Institute.
And it looks like you had a little publicity here for this show.
We did. That was an article in the Antiques and Arts Weekly, and we got a wonderful article by Susan Rand Brown in the Banner here locally, talking about Sterne and his influence.
So I know very well that you did a lot of research this winter, and you came across quite a few sources, including his autobiography. Is that right?
I did. We actually found several copies on Amazon in remainder, about $10, and a lot of good reading, easy reading, some more than probably anyone ever wanted to know about Sterne. Certainly very opinionated, but he did have one wonderful encounter with Eugene O'Neill when he was here in Provincetown. And O'Neill, whom I'd never met before, said, "I envy you. Why do all these exciting things happen to you? I understand you recently returned from a lengthy stay on an island in the Pacific. Jig Cook tells me you lived about a year with Mr. Metis Monastery. You are about to marry Mabel Dodge, and today you experienced the thrill of drowning." Hutch laughed. "I wonder if there's any connection between those two events." O'Neill admired my house and said that anytime I got tired of the place to let him know. That day had been more than enough for me, and I answered, "You can have it. I'm through with it." I moved out, and he moved in and stayed for a number of years. He wrote some of his best plays in that old Coast Guard station. When he was through with the place, he sold it at a profit, and it was just in time for soon after, at a high tide, the house disappeared into the sea.
And that was the house that Mabel Dodge owned?
That's correct.
I love
She
it.
had saved.
That's a great story.